nice and stringified, because whenever you're sending data over an API, either from a server to a client, it has to be in the form of text. You can't pass complicated message objects across the network. So imagine, like, you can't just pass a complicated object over the internet, right? It doesn't work that way. You stringify it, and then it's a piece of text, easy to send over the internet, and then you pass it when you receive it. Wow, we just broke our 1.3K likes. That's incredible. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are insane. Like, honestly, wow. Dilip Kumar, good morning, bro. Thank you, dude. Good morning to you too. Evening over here. And then we're going to basically pass the chat. Now the chat I don't need to stringify because it's actually a very simple object, but the other one has a bit more complexity to it, so I'm going to stringify the messages. Okay, so at this point what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to go ahead and save. Okay, so I'm going to save at this point, and then I'm going to go up to the top. Now my chat, right? So think about what's happening here, right? We basically are going to go ahead and have the server-side rendering occur before the actual page loads, so here, and then we get props, right? The props can get destructured, and then we will get the chat and the messages come through. Okay, so how can you prove that any of this works and that I'm not lying, right? So what we can do here is, if I go into my the server-side rendering portion, I say console log the chat and messages, right? Then what you can see here is, if I go ahead and show you the terminal and I refresh, look at this, guys. It says, oh, right now we got an error. This is interesting. DB is not defined. So we need to go ahead and fix this. We need to import our DB and import it from Firebase. There we go. And now you should be able to see, because DB is not defined, and then it says ref.collection order is not a function. Right, so let's go ahead and check about its order by. There we go. Save. And then we're going to refresh. And then you guys can see, look at this. On the server, okay, so think about what's happening right now, right? On the server, right, we are seeing, so firstly, we are seeing the, let me go ahead and do a fresh one and refresh, there we go. So on the server, we are now seeing, firstly, let's go ahead and see where we are propping it here. We're seeing the chat, which is probably blank at this point because we don't have a chat. That makes sense. And then the messages, right? And the message right here. So in ID, which is exactly this message, right? And then it's got the users, so the chat ID, and then we've got the users inside of it. So you see how it's basically rendered beforehand, before the page even loads, right? On the server, it gets rendered, which means the deployment will also be slightly different, okay? So at this point, what we're going to do